People think that when you don't react to a person's rudeness or anger, that you're weak. The truth is, the person that is easily offended and reactive to other people's behavior towards them is the weak one, because it shows that you don't have any self-control, that you are easily moved and manipulated by other people's emotions and behaviors. When you say that someone makes you feel a certain way or made you do a certain thing, you're ready to argue, you're ready to fight because someone said something that upset you, or someone did something that upset you. You have relinquished your power by allowing another person to control your emotions and behavior. So who's the weak one? When you're able to master yourself, when you're able to, regardless of how someone behaves or what someone says, their emotions are their problem. The truth is, if they're behaving a certain way towards you, it's because they have relinquished their own power to you, unbeknownst to you. You have made them feel a certain way, so that's why they reacted the way that they did. But you don't have to react. You don't have to react. You can take control of the situation by remaining in a higher vibration. If you were in a higher vibration, you remain calm, you remain poised, understanding that, listen, however they're feeling is their problem. They gave their power to me, but I'm not going to give my power to them. So I'm going to remain poised. I am going to remain in control of my thoughts and my emotions, and I'm not going to react. I will respond with love and keep it moving. And that is, if you're really trying to get at somebody, you ever heard that saying, killing people with kindness? And there was another one about bees or something. What was it? I don't remember. But yeah, that is how you really get under somebody's skin. I'm pretty sure you've experienced this before, where you were upset with someone, you're yelling, you're screaming, you're going off, you're exerting all this energy, and the other person is calm and relaxed, and it really makes you look stupid. It makes you look crazy. It makes you look like you're out of control, especially like when there's other people around, like they're seeing this person calm while you're just going off and acting crazy. And afterwards, you probably felt stupid. Like it probably made you even more upset because this person wasn't giving you the same energy that you were giving them. And it probably made you feel powerless because you couldn't get that same reaction from them. So killing a person with kindness is really how you, if you're trying to do that, which, You shouldn't even be trying to get under people's skin. Like, that's just ego-based and immaturity, you know. But that's the way to do it if you were. You kill people with kindness. You don't give them that same energy. Let them exert all that energy and give you all of their power. You know, and that's what energy vampires do. There are people who want you to get angry, want you to be overly emotional so they can take in all that energy and use it for themselves. You know, you're like a human battery for them. So, if you really want to get at somebody, have control over your emotions. Remain calm. Let them react. Kill them with kindness. Stay in your power. That's really what strength is. Wanting to fight and go off on people. Like, you know, if you don't give a shit what people think, then, you know, that's all ego-based. If you don't give a shit what people think, then then it doesn't matter what they say, right? We get upset because we care what people think. You know, we want people to validate us, and when they don't, and when they say something that we consider offensive, and it can only be offensive if you care. If you don't give a shit what somebody thinks, then nothing that they say can have power over you. Nothing that they say can offend you. It's really a matter of dying to the ego. Dying to that part of you that cares what people think. When you care what people think, you give your power away. You do. So working on not giving a fuck empowers you. You can use your energy in a positive way rather than giving your energy away through being overly emotional and getting upset and wanting to fight and wanting to argue because someone said something that you thought was offensive because you actually care about their opinion. Learn how to not care about people's opinions. That's what's going to make you strong. It's actually weak. And you have people that, you know, someone says something offensive to them, and then they ready to fight, and they arguing and pointing in their face and acting all ghetto and crazy. It's like, really? Like, if you really think about it, it's like, wow, you doing all that because somebody said something, you know, they gave their opinion of what they thought about you. Why do you give a shit? Like, really? Why do you give a shit? That's the question that you should be asking. Why does that matter? Why is it so important for you to have people like you? And there's people that's going to like you, and there's people that's not going to like you. There's people that's going to be jealous of you, and they're going to say stuff, and you know, you're going to let that get under your skin. You're going to let that cause you to get out of character. Or maybe it is part of your character. That might be something you need to work on. To change your character. Take your power back by not allowing people to manipulate you. I remember being in that energy, you know, when being argumentative, you know, and getting upset if someone says something to me. But it's very empowering to not give a shit. Because some people, they're expecting to hurt your feelings. They're expecting to get a rise out of you. They're expecting you to react. And when you don't, they lose their power. They lose their power. You remain in a position of power over yourself. And that's true strength. That's true strength. Because it's easy to go off on somebody. It's easy to react. Our egos get offended, and we want to defend our ego. Because our egos are very insecure, very sensitive. And, it's very human to want to defend our ego. But if you think about it, why? Why do you feel the need to defend it? Someone says something, so what? Who cares? I've had people, comment, like say I cut my hair. Sometimes I cut my hair really short. Well, usually if I cut my hair like super short, where it's all the same length, it's super short, it's usually because I made a mistake when I cut my hair. So I'll cut it short, but I got a nice head, so it still looks good on me. And I've had people say, because they like my hair, they like it better when it's like longer, like when it's curly and stuff. And I had someone, share their opinion, saying that they like it better, and I was like, okay. And they're looking at me like, I guess I was supposed to say more than that. I was like, am I supposed to care about your opinion? Like, what do you want me to say? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're entitled to your opinion. Okay, you like it better when it's longer. Okay. And it's funny because, it was like, I guess that maybe that person wanted me to feel insecure or something. It's like, I don't give a fuck what your opinion is. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and your opinion isn't going to change how I feel. I still think I look cute, and I'm not going to change how I feel because you like my hair better longer. Like, that's not even something necessary to say. Like, I thought it was kind of silly. Like, was that necessary for you to even share that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But I didn't give a shit because I was like, I don't care. And I've had, it's usually these jealous hoes out here. Like, women really need to work on self-esteem, for real. Like, really. When you work on yourself, you ain't think about nobody else. And when you love yourself, it's going to show through how you treat other people. When you're envious and you're gossiping and you're putting people down and you're, saying negative stuff, like, whatever your opinion is about somebody, you can keep that to yourself. When people feel like they need to tell you how they feel about you and what they think about what you're wearing or how you have your hair or whatever, it's because they jealous. You know what I'm saying? And they just want you to feel bad about yourself. Because there's really no need to even express that. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Why would you say that you don't like something about somebody unless you're trying to, offend them or make them feel insecure in some type of way. Like, really. But anyway, some people want to get a reaction out of you. So you have to learn how to master yourself. You don't need to argue and fight every time someone says or does something that you deem to be offensive. That's really showing how weak you are, because you're like a reed that moves to and fro when the wind blows. The wind blows one way, you're moved that way. The wind blows another way, you're moved that way. You're not in control of yourself. You know what I mean? Unless somebody puts their hand on you, you really don't have to defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like whatever somebody's opinion is their opinion. They're entitled to that. When you stop giving a fuck what people think, people's opinions aren't going to matter to you no more. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've noticed since I've changed, and not to say that I'm perfect, but I have gotten to a good place. And I noticed that when I don't respond and react the way people want me to, it makes them mad. It makes them offended, which shows that they were really trying to get a reaction. And it's like, no, I don't give a fuck about what you think. I don't give, you know what I mean? You can say something and it's like, whatever. Like, really, that'll be my response. Like, whatever, like, I don't give a fuck. So you can't offend somebody that doesn't give a shit about what you think. So it's like, no matter what you say, it doesn't matter. You can talk about me, you can talk about my kids, you can call me names. I don't give a fuck what you think. So how can I be offended? And that's the attitude that you need to have. That's true strength. That's not being weak. Being weak is as soon as somebody says something, you ready to fight. You ready to go off on somebody. That's weak. Because you don't have no power and control over your own emotions. You know what I mean? You go from 0 to 100 like in a matter of seconds over something stupid because somebody said something. Who gives a shit? Somebody call you a bitch, somebody call you a hoe. You ready to fight. It's like, okay, whatever. But that bit, no. Why do you care? That's the question. Why do you care that somebody called you out of your name? Why do you give a shit what this person thinks? Somebody does something purposely to upset you. And you just automatically give them what they want. Somebody yells at you. You yell back. You just gave them your power away. I had somebody raise their voice at me before, and the old me, and it depends on the day. You can get me on a bad day. Sometimes I don't always master my emotions. For the most part, I have evolved to where I'm not reactive like I used to be. But I had someone before raise their voice at me, and took a deep breath. Just to ground myself. And I said, maybe you should come back after you've calmed down, and then we can have a conversation. Because as long as you're talking to me in that tone, I'm going to ignore you. Okay, so why don't you go take a walk, calm yourself down, and then when you come back, we can have a conversation like mature adults, okay? And I went about my business. And the person stood there, and I was serious. I ignored him. I didn't, I went about my business. And they walked away and didn't come back. So I felt good because I know how the old me would have been. And to have been able to control myself the way that I did, I was proud of myself. And it really is an empowering thing. People think that if if it was me, well, that's because you're weak, okay? You're weak. You're easily moved and you have no self-control over your emotions. You allow people to take your power away. Anything or anyone that controls you is your master, is your God. Think about that. Those of you who are, controlled by your ego, and I'm not saying that I am not ever controlled by my ego. I have my good days and my bad days, right? We all do. But for those of you who pretty much live in your ego, you really haven't matured to the point where you are able to see things from this perspective. I want to try to help you to gain a higher perspective on situations like this, because it can be very easy for someone to say something and do something that is offensive, and then you're ready to, go off on somebody. But if you think of it from a perspective of this person having power over you because they have controlled your emotions, they have you have allowed that person to control you by controlling your emotions, by controlling your behavior like a puppet master. They said something, they did something that caused a reaction out of you. So who really is in control? It's not you, because they made you act that way. And by them making you, the fact that they were able to make you behave a certain way shows that they are the ones who are in power, not you. You going off on somebody and fighting somebody or arguing with somebody shows your lack of self-control, that you're easily manipulated. You are not in control of yourself, and that is weakness. The person who, regardless of how the other person may be acting or what the other person may be saying, the person that does not allow another person to control how they think and how they feel is the master. of themselves. They are the strong one. They're not weak. That's not weak at all. When you are in control of yourself and you don't allow other people to make you feel a certain way or do a certain thing based on what they've done, that shows self-mastery, and that shows true power. So the next time someone says something that offends you or does something offensive, you ask yourself, why am I offended? Why am I upset? And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be because you care about what people think. You have allowed other people to control how you feel about yourself. Because like I said, if someone says something offensive about you, why do you care? You know it's not true. So why do you need them to believe it? You know, someone gossips about you and says something about you, you find out who said it. You know, you want to go over there and you want to fight them, you want to argue with them. I don't give a shit. It's people that gossip about me all the time. Like, I guess they don't have a life, so they make me their life, and they want to gather around and talk about me like a dog. I don't give a shit. Like, if somebody comes up to me and says so-and-so said such and such, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm too damn grown for that high school shit. I really am. Like, I don't care. Like, so I know, you know, who not to fuck with now. You know, if I find out somebody's talking about me and then they really are, not just based on what somebody said. You know, I have the receipts. Then I know not to fuck with them. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave that person alone. But I'm not gonna get all pissed off and ready to fight and argue with it. Who cares? You're entitled to your opinion. You can think whatever you want to think about me. You can say whatever you want to say about me. I know me, God knows me, and that's all that matters. You know what I mean? And there's nothing weak about that. Pick your battles. You ain't got to fight over every damn thing. Pick your battles. Like I said, ain't nobody putting their hands on you. Ain't nobody physically harming you. You know that saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. You know why names won't hurt you? Names won't hurt you when you don't give a fuck what people think. You know, if someone throws sticks and stones at you, that's gonna hurt you. But you allow words to hurt you when you care about the opinions of others. So in order to take your power back, you have to get to a place where you don't give a fuck. You give 0 fucks about people's opinions, because that's all it is. If you know you, then who gives a fuck what anybody else thinks? Who cares? You know what I mean? And if these people want to believe what somebody else said about you, they're weak. You know what I mean? I don't listen to people's gossip about others. I've been and am the subject of gossip. So I know what it feels like to have people talk about you and other people believe them and they don't even fucking know you. They don't even, you know what I mean? They just going by what other people say. So I know that how that feels. I'm not going to listen to something. And why are you coming to me anyway? Like, people need to mind their own fucking business and stop getting out of other people's business. Get a fucking life. When you have a life and you have goals and you're doing things with your life, you don't have time to be worrying about what other people are doing. People who ain't got no life, don't have no goals, ain't working on themselves, they have time to be worrying about other people. And the only reason why they worried about other people because they not doing nothing with their own damn life. They a bunch of fucking losers. And they talk about other people because they know that they ain't about shit. And people who feel the need to speak badly about other people is because they feel bad about themselves. So they try to make themselves feel better by talking about, saying something negative about so-and-so. Oh, you heard about so-and-so? Yeah. Well, what's going on in your fucking life? Because I'm sure people can gossip about all the shit that's going on in your life. Focus on you. And then you won't have to worry about what's going on in other people's lives. So anyway, the purpose of this message is to help people to see what true weakness is in regards to dealing with what's the word I'm thinking of? Disagreeable people. Okay? You don't have to match their energy. You can rise above that. Do some mental alchemy. Rise above their energy. And don't allow someone else to have power over you. Remember, whatever and whoever controls you is your master, is your God. Be your own master. By controlling and having power over your own thoughts and your own emotions. Stop giving a fuck what people think. Stop caring about people's opinions. The only one you need to care about is God and how the divine feels about you. Nobody else matters. And ask yourself, why do you care? That's a good question to ask. I've asked myself that before. You know, when I used to be reactive like that. I've asked myself, why do I care? And the answer to that question was because of my own insecurities. I needed validation. I needed to feel like people like me, or I needed to feel. I felt like I needed other people to validate me. That's basically what it was. Okay. But when you don't need validation from others, you empower yourself. So what people say about you is their opinion. And people are entitled to their opinions. Why are you upset about how somebody feels about you? How do you feel about yourself? That's the question. Because when you feel good about yourself and you love yourself, you stop giving a shit about what other people think. Because you realize that other people's opinions are just that, opinions. Opinions are not facts. They're not. And people are entitled to their opinions, even if what they were saying is true. You know the saying, the truth hurts. You know, maybe you're getting offended because what they're saying is true. And if what they're saying is true, and you know it's true, then work on yourself. If somebody calls you an asshole and you know you're an asshole, then stop being an asshole. Don't fight them. Don't argue with them. Work on yourself. But stop caring about what people think, and you will not feel the need to defend yourself when someone says something. Stop giving a shit. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but names can't hurt you unless you believe what the person is saying and care about their opinion. The way to be unfuckwittable is to stop giving a shit. Stop looking outside of yourself for validation. Get your validation from God. When you get your validation from the divine, nobody else matters. I mean, think about it. Who's greater than God? Who on this planet or any other planet is greater than God? No one. So if God be for you, who can be against you? Why do you care? You've made people your God. That's the problem. You're worshiping people instead of worshiping the creator of all things. Stop putting people on a pedestal and put God on a pedestal, and you won't give a shit no more. Okay? So that's my message. And I hope that somebody out there benefited from it and will stop giving away their power. Well, someone that's listening to this will stop giving their power away to other people and master yourself. By mastering your emotions, not giving a fuck what people think, working on yourself, your insecurities, so that you are not so easily offended. And when people, lose their temper and act a certain way, you don't have to match their energy. They're showing that you have made them feel a certain way. When someone gets upset with you, it's because they've given their power away to you. Because you have done something to cause them to react. And so, because they gave their power to you and are no longer in control of their emotions, that's why they're acting that way. So look at it like that, like, dang, I really got power over this person. Look at how this person acting. And you take control over your emotions and over your mind and, be like, you know what? This person's anger, this person's behavior is their problem, not mine. That's a personal issue. That's between them and them. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm in control of my mind and my emotions, and I'm not going to give my power away. They gave their power away to me, but I'm not going to give my power away to them, because I know who I am. I'm a divine being. God lives in me, and I have complete control over my mind and my emotions. I am not going to be weak by allowing someone to control me. I'm going to let the God in me control me. That's the only one that I'm going to allow to control me is God. And so I'm going to rise above that energy. I'm going to do mind alchemy, which is about changing mental states from a lower state to a higher state. So I'm going to rise above their mental state, and I'm going to raise my vibration to a higher frequency by not allowing their behavior to control my behavior. I'm going to remain poised. I'm going to remain in control, and I'm going to deal with the situation as a God, not as a human. I'm going to let the God in me take control. And I'm going to rise above this situation and allow them to stay in that low frequency I'm going to remain in control of my mind and my emotions, and possibly raise their vibration in the process, because you can actually change the frequency of other people by controlling your own frequency and keeping your frequency on a high level. I've done this before, where someone has been upset or sad or whatever, and by not allowing my frequency to be lower than theirs, I raise my frequency. And I have, by me being in a positive energy, I ended up causing that person to be in a positive energy. I remember one time I was in Walmart, and I'll use this as an example. And the cashier, she was like real bitchy. Like, she had an attitude. She did. Like, she was like mean and nasty, and I could have matched that energy, but I know that hurting people hurt people. I understood that. And I was like, I also understood that her behavior is not, I'm not going to allow her behavior to have power over mine. I'm going to raise my frequency. I'm going to rise above her energy, and I'm going to stay in the positive, high vibrational energy that I was in, because I was in a good mood. I'm like, I'm not going to allow her to change my mood because she's in a bad mood. That's her problem. So, I said, how are you? How are you today, man? Like, she's like, and then she said, and then, I was like, I'm sorry, you're not in a good mood. And she started opening up to me. She was like, I was continuing to be nice to her and stuff. And she told me she was complaining about she had 2 jobs and she was tired. And I was like, ma'am, I said, I understand that, having 2 jobs is rough. I'm pretty sure that you're very tired, But I said, think of it like this. At least you have 2 jobs. You know what I mean? At least you have the ability to work and take care of yourself. Because if you're working 2 jobs, you obviously need it. And I know that that's difficult, but try to see it from a different perspective and be thankful. There's people in this world, who have nothing. There's people in this world, especially in these third world countries, that would love to be able to have 2 jobs, to be able to take care of themselves and their families. And she was like, oh my God, she said, I didn't think of it like that. And she was like, yeah, thank you for giving me that perspective, because that is so true. And she said, yeah, it's hard, but, I have a lot to be thankful for. And I was like, yeah. We all go through difficult and challenging things in life, but it helps us to get through those challenging times when we learn to see things from a higher perspective and have an attitude of gratitude, because things can always be worse. And she hugged me. The woman hugged me and she was like, thank you. I feel a lot better now, and I thank God, and I'm going to thank God for my 2 jobs, because I could be homeless. And I was like, see, there you go. But you're not. So that's something to be thankful for. And she and changed her whole mood. After that, she was smiling. She was talking to people in the line and stuff. So you can actually change the frequency of others. You can change their low vibration to a high vibration by you staying in a high vibrational energy and rising above their ignorance. And understanding that hurt people really do hurt people. And when people act like that, you don't know what they're going through. And I've had many experiences like that where I've done that and I have changed people's frequencies. And people have shared very personal, people I don't even know, have shared very personal things. And, I got to understand, like, when you're not in control of yourself, and when you haven't learned to master, the art of mastering your mind and emotions, and you're not working on it, it's very easy to allow things to control you. And I'm not perfect. I'm not a master. I'm mastering, but I have not mastered this yet. But I am in the process of mastering. And that's what's important. I say this in all of my videos, that I am not trying to come off like I'm righteous and holier than thou. I am on the journey of self-mastery. And as I'm learning things, I share it because I want to help other people to become the best versions of themselves. And that's what this channel is all about. Teaching people how to do mind alchemy. And I did say earlier that I was ending this message. I always do that. But I really am going to end this message now. And I hope that it has helped somebody out there. I really do. I hope, even if it's one person, if this message has reached someone and has helped them to get on the path of self-mastery and, working on controlling their emotions and their thoughts and not allowing others to control them, and understanding that true strength is not going off on people. It's not feeling the need to defend yourself because someone said or did something that you think is offensive, because you actually give a fuck what they think. And you start working on not giving a shit about people's opinions and making sure that you work on yourself, on your self-esteem, and loving yourself and allowing God to control you and not people, then it is worth me making this message, because I'm doing it for y'all. I want us to go on this journey together, learn and grow together. Okay? So we can all graduate from this life school and move on. So that's all that I have to say, and I'm